Islam Moors. Arise, giving all praise to Allah, Father of the universe, cherisher and sustainer of all the boundless universes. We extend highest of honors to His holy divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam. We extend high honors to his forerunner, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, who did indeed warn and stir up the nations. Islam. We extend high honors to the Moorish flag, the red flag with the green five-pointed star in the center. 5 points representing love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. These are the 5 highest principles known to man. Islam. We extend high honors as well to the American flag, also known as the Stars and Stripes. This flag exists as a constant reminder to the European Oju, the Moors, of compound interest. Islam. Extending honors to Noble Sheik staff, Noble Vanguard staff for keeping the peace, and giving honors to you, the hills and bays, for without you there is no Moorish movement. Islam. How's everyone in the holy night? Y'all look worn out from a long week. Praise Allah, we got here. Islam. All right. I want to take a reading from the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, chapter entitled Know Thyself. This will be chapter 36. That's chapter XXXVI, chapter 36. We're drawn from the chapter of Know Thyself because the Moorish Science Temple of America is indeed a thinking man and woman's organization. Islam is not an organization based on blind faith. It's not an organization based on, I do this because the Grand Sheik told me so. It's not an organization based on, I'm doing this even because the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said so. Right? You must know why you're doing what you're doing. Islam? All right? Verse 1, it says, weak and ignorant as thou art, O man, humble as thou ought to be, O child of the dust, wilt thou raise thy thoughts to infinite wisdom? Wouldst thou see omnipotence displayed before thee? Contemplate thy frame. In this verse, the prophet is addressing your physical form. He's not addressing your spirit self, which is the eternal you. He's not addressing the spirit self, which is the part of Allah. Islam? Yeah. He's addressing that part of you, which is the finite, which is measured up by time. Islam says, verse 2, fearfully and wonderfully art thou made. Praise therefore thy Creator with awe, and rejoice before him with reverence. Wherefore of all creatures art thou only erect, but that thou shouldst behold his works. Wherefore art thou to behold, but that thou mayest admire them. Wherefore to admire, but that thou may adore there and thy Creator. Wherefore is consciousness reposed on thee alone, and whence is it derived to thee? It is not in flesh to think, it is not in bones to reason. Islam? So the concept of thinking and reasoning does not come from your physical form. This comes from the spirit self, thereby making you in conjunction with the eternal. All right? It says, the lion knoweth not the worms shall eat him. The ox perceiveth not that he is fed for slaughter. Something is added to thee, unlike to what thou seest. Something informs thy clay. Higher than all is the object of thy senses. Behold, what is it? So, in the search of you knowing yourself, that search is to find that portion of yourself which, that's beyond the physical form. See, most people go their whole lives and never identify themselves as anything physical. All right? Our society being in the state that it's in is a result of that. Ones can't conceive of things that's vibrate at a higher tone. And as a result, everything is catered to base instinct. Okay? Moving forward. Verse 7. The body remaineth perfect after it is fled. Therefore, it is no part of it. It is immaterial. Therefore, it is eternal. It is free to act. Therefore, it is accountable for its action. See, accountability is placed upon thinking things. See? So you don't have the option of saying, well, I didn't know. All right? Because your spirit knows the truth. In the Muslim degree, when we perform janazas, which is the Islamic burial, you'll hear it said amongst those who are Muslims who attend the burial, you know, as they're looking at the form being lowered into the hole. A common phrase is that, you know, you'll hear Muslims say is that, well, you know, he or she now knows the truth. You see, because they're no longer identifying with the physical form. They've evolved on to higher planes, and now that soul or that spirit knows the truth. Islam? Islam. All right. It says, verse 8, knoweth the ass or the donkey the use of food, because his teeth mow down the herbage, or standeth the crocodile erect, although his backbone is as straight as thine. Allah formed thee as he formed these. After them all wert thou created. Superiority and command were given thee over all, and of his own breath did he communicate to thee the principle of knowledge. Know thyself and the pride of his creation, the line uniting divinity and matter. Behold a part of Allah himself within thee. Remember thine own dignity, nor dare descend to evil or meanness. And that right there is a measure that, you know, we of the, you know, the Moorish pedigree have to master, that dare not to descend to meanness. You know, we come from a mean pedigree. You know, when you research anything about the Moors and how the Moors ruled, you know, the Moors didn't rule with a smile. You know, they didn't rule because, you know, trying to win popularity contests. They ruled from, look, this is what Allah said and you're going to listen. And they enforced that. Key to making law is the enforcement of law. And you can't have government unless laws are enforced, right? But a part of that is the balance to know how far to go. You know, a certain circumscription is placed around yourself, so that way in your interaction you don't transcend bounds. Islam?
Islam.
All right. It says, verse 11, last verse, who planted terror in the tail of the serpent, who clothed the neck of the horse with thunder, even he who hath instructed thee to crush the one under thy feet, and to tame the other to thy purpose. Islam? Surely Allah speaks the truth to his holy divine prophet, the prophet Noble Drew Ali. So it was given to humanity, you know, to tame this plane, not to be tamed by it. You see, we've been given a charge, if you will, you know, by Allah, most glorified and exalted, to become the ruler of this plane, of the, you know, to become the Lord of the plane of the manifest. But, you know, we seem to have slouched under our duty. Now, the result of that, or the cause for that, is, you know, the lack of divine creed and nationality. Because divine creed and nationality are the driving force which propel you to control everything in your circumference. I was watching a lecture with our brother, whom we love, Dr. Umar Johnson. The brother made a good point. He was talking about communities. He said, key to, you know, having or controlling any particular community is the establishment of four things, if I can call remembrance to aid. He said that you must have a bank, a school, a hospital, bank, school, hospital, and there was one more element. So I have it written down in an envelope over there somewhere. But it's these four elements that you can have. If you point to any free national community, you can see these four elements being played out, right? And it's a template, no, also, it's a template that, you know, it seems that everyone knows to run except us, all right?
Exactly.
Right? But again, you know, you can't fault the people if they weren't instructed, right? But the Prophet Noble Drew Ali came with these lessons in 1913, all right? And it's the fact of his program not being implemented why you can go around our communities, or if I can call it that, around the country, around the nation, and see the, you know, the empty vacuum of this, which enables free nationals that when they come into our communities, it's open territory to them. You see what I'm saying? Now, one thing about business is warfare. You know, many people have studied Art of War, Sun Tzu. Now, when you study the principles of Art of War, are you thinking that it's only the battlefield and with swords and shields or bullets, or it's also the business front? Yes. Apply those same principles to business. You know, about controlling Islam or bias. You know, absolutely. You know, and it's like, you know, even with that, you still have to have principles for what you move. Because if you're responding or you're in a reactionary mind, you'll never win. You know, key to military structure is that it was taught that no battle was ever won defensively. Okay, so in other words, what does that mean? So if somebody attacks you and then you're on the defense constantly, right? You don't get you constantly lose territory because they advanced first. You see what I'm saying? Now, you could win, right? But your win is temporary. It may not last long, right? Because everything you do is to counter what was initiated. You see? So the key to business is to initiate, right? When you go around your community, when you travel through your district, and you see vacant properties, you know, be they residential or commercial, right? One thing you have to realize is the fact that land or real estate is power, right? Land is power primarily because they're not making anymore. You know, the amount of land, available land, usable land on the planet, the square mileage of it can be calculated, right? Within the next generation coming up, you know, the same amount of land is available now in 20 years, which is the length of a generation, will be the same amount of land that's available then, all right? So key to that is realizing that, okay, well, my people need somewhere to live. Now, either I'm renting or I'm owning, right? Either I'm paying rent to someone or I'm, you know, receiving rent from someone, right? If you're going around your communities, you see vacant commercial locations, okay? Somebody's going to move in and get that, you know, particular thing. But the finances being generated is going to come out of your community, right? But will those funds be funneled back?
No.
And if it's not controlled by your own pedigree, then it won't be. It'll go right out to whatever community.
To that community.
Exactly, right? I'm in tune with a particular Indian family that's in this, you know, community. Beautiful family, I love them. I cut, you know, the sons have it. But they live in Dunwoody, right? But they own a restaurant on this side, District 12, right? And you know, we could look at that as exploitation, or we could look at it as they seized an opportunity, right? And we could also, you know, put a mirror in front of ourselves to say, well, what were we thinking? The fact that, you know, you could buy into a franchise, a restaurant franchise too, or you could start your own restaurant and cater those needs to your own people. The fourth item was grocery store.
Grocery store.
Just keep talking, it'll come back, right? Grocery store or supermarket, okay? But, you know, you have to cater to the needs of your own people, right? I use an example all the time. How many people ate dinner already? How many people, when they leave, are going to eat? More than likely, right? Okay? Which we got to get out of that eating late stuff. That's the whole other thing. But you're going to eat, right? Where are you going to get the food from?
Go cook it.
Okay, but where did the food come from that you're going to cook?
Grocery store.
Exactly. Whose grocery store?
Their grocery store.
Islam?
Islam.
See, although this movement can be, you know, the goals are indeed lofty. The goals can be esoteric, which just means in the court, nothing wrong with the word esoteric. But there's also a practicality, a practical side to this movement, right? Where your fundamental needs on a daily basis have to be fulfilled. And if they're not fulfilled, then we're slouching under our duty, okay? We give honors to, you know, one of my brothers, Brother Sheik Heru Ranesi-El, who was our former chairman years ago, who's now in New York. But I was going through my archive and I came across some research that he pulled out. And he extracted it from the Holy Quran, the Moorish Science Temple of America. So as he was, you know, going through, he was just grabbing certain principles out of the Quran and just jotting them down, right? Because you have to know, like if somebody asks you, well, what is the program of Prophet Noble Raleigh, right? Well, we go clear to the mission statement, you know, the uplifting of fallen humanity and teaching those things necessary to make our people better citizens, right? But okay, good. But what's the program, right? What's the platform, all right? So he jotted some things down that's, you know, within our Holy Quran and the Moorish Science Temple of America, right? Key to, you know, the program of Prophet Noble Raleigh is taking care of the elderly, playing your position in marriage, supporting your children, setting children's inclinations aright early in their youth, teaching children obedience, modesty, gratitude, charity, temperance, and prudence. Those are known as the virtues. Teaching, and again continuing on that same vibe, teaching children justice, sincerity, diligence, benevolence, science, and religion. Recognizing the cord that connects all living things. Being not puffed up in knowledge. Being upright, independent, and fearless. Being active and not passive. Being armed with tools. Compass, square, axe, hammer, plane, chisel, line, and plummet. Plummet, P-L-U-M-M-E-T. And you can go to chapter 5 in the Most Holy Quran for those tools. And again, realizing, a lot of times we have to realize what the Prophet gave us, because many Moorish Americans have not been through, you know, the various halls of men. And as a result of that, the Prophet teaches us a language that when we speak that language abroad, ones will hear those, you know, those terminologies and, you know, acknowledge that you bear something that's of a higher plane of thought. But if you don't know what you have, they'll say, oh, they don't know what they have. So the Prophet gave you the compass and the square, and you don't know how to measure out all your lines and draw your circles and what that really means and how to apply that in the plane of the manifest, then, you know, yeah, you're a master, but you can't build nothing. Right? It's kind of says you're supposed to be a master builder.
It's like book smarts.
Demonstrate.
But you ain't done it.
Exactly.
You got an A on the test.
Islam, but you can't do nothing. You can't unfold a manifested degree. Islam, right? Being armed with keys, questions, and answers. Utilizing and exercising the holy breath. Honoring the holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. Islam, Brother Chapman.
Islam.
Adhering to the codes of masters, servants, magistrates, and subjects. 5 highest principles known to man: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. The divine plan of the ages. The everlasting gospel. A saving power. Knowing thyself. The uniting of Asia. Solving the fix. These are all concepts that come out of your Quran. Remembering one's social duties. Being just, charitable, grateful, and sincere. Modern day, they call that philanthropy. Right? In order to be charitable, you have to be wealthy. Right? Prophet Noble Raleigh didn't plan on you being poor. Islam?
Islam.
I'm going to quote a strange source, but you can find truth anywhere. Brother Reverend Ike, I don't know if y'all remember that brother. Reverend Ike said, there's no sin in coming to me poor. The sin is staying poor once you make it. Islam?
Islam.
And see, poverty starts first. Poverty, in essence, is not a state of finance, it's a state of character. Because if you're poor in character or mind, right, you can't get the finance. And if you get it, you won't know what to do with it, or it's going to last. A fool and his money, you'll soon part. Right? Exercising strength and fighting the foes of instability, inconstancy, weakness, insufficiency of knowledge and misery. Avoiding guilt, knowing that fear is beneath me. Demonstrating the possibilities of man. Following the example of resolution. You know, resolution is, the essence of resolution is resolve, right? The carrying out of the resolve is resolution, right? Resolution is also a legal term, right? When you pass a certain, when an august body determines to do a particular thing, that thing is known as a resolution. Islam? All right, write the word down and research it. Study the science of happiness. Imitating the Prophet Noble Drew Ali in words and deeds. And why is that? Is that arbitrarily? No, it's because his example or his template worked. All right? A lot of times we, in our quest to be the deepest person in the room, a lot of times we'll discard that which has been proven to work to create our own model to prove to everybody, look, my idea worked. When all you had to do is step in the steps of your forefathers that's already done it. Islam? And it takes a certain amount of humility to do that. We're too arrogant as a people. Islam? Study the concept of Moorish science, right? Study what the concept of, or the history of your forefathers coming together. And though they demonstrated religion, right, they also demonstrated science. And they worked them both together in a holistic mindset, not either or, right? You'll find Muslims who are devout Muslims, devout adherents to the Holy Quran of Mecca, studying astronomy, studying mathematics. You know, how can we call ourselves Moorish Americans and we don't know geometry? And we don't know trigonometry? You know, we don't study chemistry. We don't study finance. You know, all the areas of people activity that make a people distinct, right? And give that particular pedigree worth upon the planet Earth. How is it that we don't study these things? Right? Because if I were to ask you, with all of our nationality and all of our free national standards and principles, what do we have to offer the world? Right? if an outright extinction was about to take place, and whoever the dominant people are on the planet, decided, okay, we're going to eliminate anybody that doesn't have worth, would we make the cut?
No, they've taken up everything.
But is that their fault or is that our fault?
It's our fault.
Islamists?
It's our fault, definitely.
Because that's the thing, is this is not a victim movement. Prophet was very hard on the Moors. Prophet was very hard on us, right? And the fact of us not having worth is our own fault, because you have to find your own niche in the world and provide that, right? There's a movie out, I don't know the name of the movie, but James Earl Jones played it. It's an old movie, came out I think in the 50s or 60s. And he was a pastor. And he was demonstrating the concept of do for self amongst the congregation. So one particular Sunday he came in, he had some overalls on, and he had a set of boots on with no shoestrings on them. And he was demonstrating before the congregation. He said, you might thought, some of y'all who saw me walk up might have looked at me funny because I don't have shoestrings in my boots. He said, I'll start wearing them when we start producing them. He said, I refuse to support anybody. He said, basically, I'm adding on, but basically saying that, we're free people. We're supposed to be free. We're supposed to be this and that, whatever. But we can't even make a shoestring. You know what I mean? I watched a movie a long time ago, and it was, the whole movie was Irish-driven. And it was a particular Irishman. He said that people aren't free if they can't make their own shoes. Simple stuff. See what I'm saying? Even I'll give you an example. January 7th, in honor of January 8th, which is January 8th is Prophet Noble Riley's birthday. I hope everyone who's present will be able to be present then on that day. And I hope that you bring family and friends and so on and so forth, right? Unfortunately, because most of our people have been raised Christian, and we have a lot of respect due to Christianity. And a lot of us have a lot of Christian practices. Unfortunately, January 8th, the honor of January 8th, has become somewhat of our Easter or our watch night service. Whereas insofar as when you look at Easter, you notice how church is packed on Easter? Everybody got their new suits on. Sisters got the new dresses on and new shoes. Everybody clean as a mug, right? Coming off pretty much to show their outfits off, right? You'll notice that on January 7th, it happens whenever we do this, right? You're going to see some fly Moorish American regalia. The Moors are going to we picked that one time of the year to show the world who our forefathers were. Sad part is that we're not manufacturing any of the clothes that we wear. That's called sin and disobedience. No Prophet Noble Riley said that every nation has suffered slavery. And that's a result of sin and disobedience. But these are matters that have to be looked into with the hope of correcting them, right? The work that we're doing here is nation-building work, right? Nation-building work. You look at the things that your nation needs. You look amongst the talents of those that's amongst you, right? And we need strong men and women willing to volunteer to fill those gaps, right? And also to remember that there's a day-to-day work to running this thing. I give honors to the administration here at Temple No. 19, right? Because the administration here, away from the cameras, away from the public view, and so on and so forth, from the early hours of the morning way to the wee hours at night, are constantly working to create the infrastructure for this temple. Islam? A particular question was asked to me not too long ago. Was Temple No. 19 a 501c3, or did we have one? And at the answer at the time, that answer was no. But that's changing now. Not the temple being a 501c3, but 501c3s being established and so forth because of the busy bees of Temple No. 19. Islam? There's a lot of day-to-day work. And I got to tell once, the day-to-day work of nation building is boring like you wouldn't believe. It's not glamorous, right? It's tedious, it's redundant. It's all the things that Asiatic people hate, right? But until we build the tolerance to be able to do these things, we're not going to get anything done, okay? So that's something I definitely wanted to demonstrate. Another thing I want to demonstrate too, because it's something personal that, that happened kind of in my family, if I can say. We definitely have to create a cure and create options for our young people, okay? Because we have to win our young people from the streets. We have to win our young people from the allure or the temptation of going to the streets to get money to build their lifestyle, their daily lives. We're losing far too many young men and young women, right? The very generation that we come in the name of saving, right, we're losing, okay? And if this keeps up, we're gonna end up with more elders than young people. And at the point that happens to your particular, demographic, you're overweight as a people, okay? I'm going to give honors out, and this is for the camera, this is not for those present. Give honors to Brother Tahir Bey and Sister Fatima Bey, who I grew up known as Yasmin Bey, for the loss of their son, Tahir Jr. Little brother was murdered it was last Wednesday, 24 years old. You remember? Yep.
Oh.
24 years old. And when I tell you, like, this is Sister Taifa's blood cousin, by the way. When I tell you that, the sadness, primarily of seeing the potential gone. Islam? We don't know what this young man, and this is just one of many, right? We don't know what this young man could have grown up to be, right? When you look at your El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, your Malcolm X's, right? Brother Malcolm had the same type of background this brother had, right? But he found his awakening and lost. Now keep in mind, this young man was a Bey, Moorish American Muslim. His name was Bey by birth, they changed it later, right? But the point is that, we're losing our next generation of leaders. Islam, and that is our fault. I'm not faulting his parents at all. I'm not doing that. I'm saying as a people, right? It's our fault because we don't have infrastructure. Islam, this young man and my oldest daughter used to play together growing up. Could have very easily been my daughter. Islam, it hit me because when his father's wife went into labor, me and his father and I we're in Philadelphia, at a bookstore trying to get some knowledge, and he called just to check on us. Like, she went into labor. We had to get back. I'm from New Jersey originally. To get back in the car and go back over to New Jersey so we can, see the baby being born. I stayed with him, till the baby was born. So I held him as a baby, and he's gone. That soul came in 24 years. Allah called him home. Allah is the best of planners. Allah is the best of knowers, right? But what I'm saying is, as a leader, my thing is, it troubles me because, I'm seeing this continuous cycle, and I'm not seeing a strong enough dent put in the cycle to stop it from happening, right? And I'm also, I wouldn't say angered, but I'm a bit perturbed, if I could use that word, and ones who call themselves Moorish American or would take out the Prophet Noble Drew Ali's card, and by doing so, you're creating a contractual obligation to perform. And I'm perturbed by ones who receive this card and run around in the world as Moorish Americans when it's convenient. But when it's time for that day-to-day labor to build something for our people, they're not present. And I'm not talking about those that are here. I'm talking about ones I haven't seen in years. This is what I'm addressing. Okay? And it has to stop. As Moorish American Muslims, Prophet Noble Drew Ali gave us our own customs. He gave us our own system, our own time systems of calculation. So technically, January 1st is not our New Year. That's the fiscal New Year. It's a financial thing for the Romans, right? And we honor that too because we're in commerce and trade with the Romans, right? However, as Moorish American Muslims, our New Year is January 15th, 7 days after the birth of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So, two of our high holy days are January 8th and then January 15th, which is Moorish New Year, right? But I'm going to tell you something that's going to be declared out from Temple number 19. Tolerance of poor performance is declared out. Sister Secretary, I'm going to be getting with you and looking at ones who are on the books who've been inactive for quite some time. And we're going to reach out to them one last time. And if they don't respond and they don't perform, they'll be stricken from the books. We need the books, we need our book of life, filled with ones that's, willing to take on the work of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam? How many people have seen a picture of the Prophet? Yeah, that's right. Prophet Noble Raleigh on our convention picture here, right? There are two people on this picture that have the royal sash on. Okay? Yeah. Prophet Noble Raleigh. You have the Grand Governor J. Lomax Bey of Temple 4 in Detroit, Michigan, right? In order to wear that sash, that means you're willing to take on the burden of the prophet, right? You have to ask yourself, right? The prophet came to redeem so-called Negroes, blacks, coloreds, and Ethiopians from the Roman yoke of slavery. Islam?
Islam.
So that was an arduous task because you have ones that did not want to let those principles that delude to slavery go. Islam?
Islam.
Now, in order to wear that sash, you have to admit, you have to bear witness, you have been, if I may borrow this, tried, never denied, and willing to be tried again. Or tried and true and agreed upon by you. Okay? They say 7, tried and true and agreed upon by you. But you have to be of that ilk to even think about wearing something as noble as that. Right? That's the royal sash. But if you look back, you'll see other ones that have smaller sashes on, you know, and they had a smaller yet large responsibility. Okay? We here at Temple number 19 are ones that have vowed to give the utmost of our last breath and the last drop of our royal Moorish blood to fulfill the vision of Prophet Noble Raleigh. That is why we are here. We're not here for reputation and fame. We're not here for scepters and thrones. We're not here for popularity. We're not here for any of that. We're here to perform some serious work. Giving honors to the members of Temple number 19 and the sheiks who traveled with us to the unity banquet hosted by the Nation of Islam, Muhammad Mosque 15B. Give honors, give big Islam and assalamu alaikum to our family. Just to stand with ones, you know, at that unity banquet we had a Christian pastor, even though he didn't like to be called Christian. We had a brother that was Hebrew Israelite. We had a minister, obviously student minister, Stanley Muhammad from the Nation of Islam. And you had, you know, myself representing Prophet Noble Raleigh of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Those are groups that, the way the Romans attacked us, should have never been able to stand together in one room, at one podium, right? At the end of the banquet, when we lowered the meeting, each group came up to give a prayer after the tradition of their forefathers. Islam? Now, why am I bringing this up? Y'all familiar with the show called The Breakfast Club? Charlamagne the God, Angela Yee, DJ Envy. T.D. Jakes was just on there not too long ago. And T.D. Jakes was asked a question. He was asked a question by the brother Charlamagne. He said, well, would it be possible, or would we ever see yourself and Minister Farrakhan getting together on a platform for unity? T.D. Jakes said, no, you'll never see that. He said, we have differences in ideology. No, excuse me. So we have differences in theology. And our theology won't let us stand together. He said, yeah, there might be some community things where we can agree, but our theology will never let us stand together. See, that mentality has been declared out as well. Islam? See, we need ones who are able to think outside the box a little bit. Okay? You'll notice that our emblem so you'll have this, right? And then you have right? One thing about this is a masterful logo, right? We won't go into everything concerning it, but concerning this one point. The broken circle, you can come in through any of the gates with your study. If you like knowledge from the East, right, you can study those sciences, right? If you like the knowledge of the Native American and the indigenous, you can study that. You come in from the West on that, right? You will come in from the Southern teachings in Peru and, you know, the ancient Inca Empire. And you want to do all that, you can do that as well. Islam, you want to go up to Antarctica, we were there too. And Iceland and all, you were there first. You know, if you want to write this time down. That's what the ancient Moors were called in the Norse territories, the Skrellings. And they were little small brothers and sisters, about 4 feet tall. And they said they knew where all the earth's treasures were. When the Irish found out about the Skrulls, they called them leprechauns. Right? Much of the Irish theology or ideologies and stuff are coming out of their contacts with the Moors. You know, anybody know what St. Patrick's Day is all about? No? So who was St. Patrick? What did St. Patrick do? Why they gave him a day? They say St. Patrick drove the snakes out of Ireland. Right? So they didn't really give him a day for chasing some literal snakes out of Ireland. Well, who are the snakes? You go back to Kemet, who was known for wearing snakes and stuff off their foreheads? Exactly. Who's known for snake charming? And the Moroccan Moors. They blow the horn and they hypnotize the snake and all that type of stuff. And the sciences that the snake, even Jesus said, be wise as a serpent, yet humble as a dove. So that serpent, the serpent wasn't a bad thing to us, right? But the point is that if you want to study those sciences from the north, you can do that as well, right? But the point is, as long as you come into the inner essence of it and manifest perfection, which is that seven, right? Prophet Noble Drew Ali allowed you to do all that. Just come on in, right? So you'll see ones, you know, we have ones amongst us right now that demonstrate Ifa. You have ones, you know, demonstrate astrology, numerology, all that type of stuff, right? And if you're spooked out about it, we can have that conversation too, right? Because you'd be surprised how people, because the Catholic Church demonized all of those systems, how people are afraid of their own stuff, right? I tell you, when you go to the library, not even library, or bookstore, you want to look up Moorish science. You want to look up the history of the Moors. Where do you go look? What section of the bookstore do you go look? You go to Barnes & Noble system. Where are you going to go find your forefathers at?
Go to the history section.
Really? Good luck.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we're not there. I'm going to send you somewhere. I'm going to send you somewhere in the bookstore. Don't be mad at me. You ready?
Ready.
Go to the witchcraft section.
I'm fine with that section.
You good? Good?
Good.
How about the voodoo section?
Good with that.
You good on that? Because you all up in there. I have a book. Could you see over on the bookshelf, there should be a book called The Encyclopedia of Occultism. The front cover is ripped off, thanks to my son.
That's a good book.
Yeah, it's a real good book. But it should say it on the spine. If it's not there, don't worry yourself.
Okay.
But you write that book down, The Encyclopedia of Occultism, OCCULTISM. It's written by Lewis, Lewis Spence, SPENCE. The Moors are all through that book, all the way through. They mention you so many times in that book. And the word, what does the word occult mean? Anybody know? Just I'm not going to erase your demonstration. You got beautiful handwriting. It's almost sin to erase that. I'm going to just make my own little, okay? These three words here have the same meaning. Arcane, esoteric, and occult, which all mean hidden. Again, the European hid these things, didn't destroy them, because he's not old enough on the planet to destroy history. He needs these things. It's all well, Sheik, if you can't find it. Right? He needs these things. You know, you're old enough on the planet. We have ancient hatreds that's so ancient. We've destroyed dynasties. We've destroyed scrolls. We've did all that stuff. The European doesn't have that luxury. So you have something known as genetic memory. So you can burn up some scrolls, and because the scroll, you are the scroll. Right? If there were no more Qur'ans of Mecca, if the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America wasn't there, we've taught it enough that it's a part of our DNA. Islam, you'll find, how many of you are practiced enough on your path? You know, I'm talking to certain ones that's been here. That when you're out demonstrating, you know, the lesson, you don't even plan on the lesson coming out, a verse will just fly out your mouth. You know, and it'll start applying itself to your daily life. That'll happen with you, you know, attending your meetings and building with other Moors and, you know. I'm going to mention two words. Who gets what? The ignorant or the scholarly? Which one gets Which one does the ignorant get? The instruction or the improvement? Don't guess. Open your Quran.
Instruction.
Go to your holy instructions of unity. First verse. Prophets, if I can get you thinking, you'll save yourselves. Who's reached the chapter?
It's chapter 44.
Is it?
26. Said the unity.
Mm-hmm. Sister Lamar, you have it? Can I have verse 1, please? I believe that was chapter 26.
The gifts of understanding are the treasures of Allah, and He appointed to every one his portion, and what measure seemeth good unto himself. Hath He endowed thee with wisdom? Hath He enlightened thy mind with the knowledge of truth? Communicated to the ignorant for their instruction, communicated to the wise for thine own improvement.
Islam? All right, so again, communicated to the ignorant for their instruction, right? So those that don't know, you use the lessons to improve them, to instruct them, right? It says communicated to the wise for thine own improvement. So people that are as sharp as you are or sharper than you are, right? You're building with them, not just for the sake of building, but it's actually improving you as you go. Islam? That's what these lessons are used for, right? And you have like, the Holy Quran, the More Science Temple of America, is not a book, a scripture, excuse me, that you can just pick up. I'm gonna read it a couple times and I got it. It doesn't work that way, right? You have to be taught that lesson, right? Any more than you can go now, Barnes and Nobles, Borders, Amazon, and order a book called Duncan's Rites and Rituals of Freemasonry. You can go to Richardson's Monitor. You can order all of that stuff. And you can read it. But if you haven't been taught what you're reading, you won't be able to use it. Islam? There's such a thing as hiding something in plain sight. Islam? Because you can pick it up and you won't know how to work it. You can regurgitate it, right? But a true master will try you on it and you won't be able to unfold it. Islam? All right? So the Prophet Noble Drew gave us something that we're supposed to take and change the world with. And until we've reached that level, we're still just mimicking. We're still at a child's level. Children mimic what they see their parents do.
Exactly.
Islam? So as parents, you have to give them what? A good example, right? So they will mimic all that which is good, right? So, you know, you're coming out of Negro, black, colored, African American, you're coming out of that, right? In your coming out of it, those that are around you, as you begin to make your changes, right? Ones are going to be able to look, and they're going to hold you to a strict account. You Muslim, you ain't supposed to be smoking. You Muslim, you ain't supposed to, what's that, a ham sandwich? You got to put that down. They're going to hold you to that account, and you're going to get tired of hearing it. Islam, and you got one choice: step up or step off. Right? Prophet Noble Drew tells you, he says, if you think that you cannot live your life accordingly, hold your seat until you are able. Don't jump up and, you know, volunteer for something that you're really not ready for. And this is for all of us. Islam, because our people need us. Our people have been, you know, we've had all types of leaders, right? And our people have been hurt by some of these leaders, right? However, Allah has a unique way of taking flawed people and using them to guide others, right? And using their very example of how they fall as an example to others. Islam? So no one, there's nothing written that says you have to be absolutely perfect in all your dealings in order for you to lead people or to be responsible for what Allah has placed on you. Because there's some people that say, well, I don't ever want to demonstrate in the temple in front of nobody because I'm not right yet. Well, when are you going to get right? When are you going to be so right that you feel as though that what you're going to get up and say, you're going to say in a blameless type capacity? No leader on earth has ever achieved that. Ever. You have to be responsible for what Allah has placed on you and demonstrate that to the best of your ability. That's all anybody's asking you to do. Islam? You know, and stop feeling, you know, we have that low self-esteem that, you know, I'm not worthy thing. You know, and we got to shake that in order to do. Because guaranteed, whatever you're going through, somebody needs that message. You see what I'm saying? Whatever bad experiences you've been through, somebody out there has gone through worse in that area, right? And they need to hear it, not from me, but from you. Because I didn't go through that. You went through that. So that's the message that you have to bring. Islam? You know? So, you know, I'm appealing to you, Moors. I'm pleading. You know, the Prophet called it the divine plea. you know, take this movement seriously. You know, another thing too, don't play with your teachings. You know, Christians are permitted to play with their teachings. You know, playing with Jesus. I think it was the comedian Eddie Griffin. He was like, how did Jesus whistle? We're not even permitted to do stuff like that. I think I just violated by even saying that on the Holy Day. Islam. But, you know, the point is we're not, you know, you'll notice that Muslims don't generally play with their religion. That's not something like within the text of the Holy Quran of Mecca. The Holy Quran of Most High of America, the path, you know, the tradition of any of the prophets, you don't really see them playing with what was revealed to them, right? And you have to take your, you know, the means by which you are judged the same way. You know what I'm saying? Do we have fun? Yes. Do we laugh? Yes. I have one of the worst sense of humor you're ever going to meet. You know, it'll be away from here that you might see that, but the point is, it's there. All right? But the point is, it's a time and place for everything, right? And let's, you know, let's make sure that when we're out in the world, you know, we remember the relation that binds us to love and unity. You know what I mean? And we carry the movement in that spirit. You see what I'm saying? Because if not, ones are not going to be appealed. You know, the appeal on the magnetism is not going to be there for them to come and want to take on the mission and to want to build. Islam?
Islam, too.
I'm going to open the floor at this point for any questions, you know, especially for our two right here. You know, I know it's been a little while since we've seen you all. Welcome again, right? But open the floor for you. Do you have any questions? And you can ask from any school of thought. I seen some smiles earlier. So if you need to ask something from those particular travels, we've been in those halls of learning too. All right? Because I need you to know what this is. I need you to have a clear conception of the work that you're called to do, right? And clearly, you know, something about this movement appeals to you because you came back. You see what I'm saying? And one thing about Temple number 19 is that, you know, we want to, and, you know, we haven't been as good at it, but going forward, we want to be better at it with our hospitality, of making ones feel welcome. You know what I'm saying? We want to make you feel like this is your house. You see what I'm saying? And, you know, with that, we want to make sure that anything you want to know, you could just ask. No one in here is unapproachable. Right, including myself. Anything you want to ask, you can ask it. Islam, within reason. Okay. You know, you got to be careful with age yet. All right. Anything? All right. Brother Chairman, do you have a message to bring? All is well. All right. Praise Allah. Praise Allah. With that, I'll go ahead. Before I do. Are you serious? Okay. Thank you. Could you someone pass that? Thank you. Thank you, Sister Secretary. With that, we'll lower the meeting. Islam, boys.
Islam.
Divine warning by the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Prophet warns all Muslims. Governor's ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform, and this will read slightly different from what you're accustomed to hearing, but the essence is the same law, and I'll explain why later. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical and agitated speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing at your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure of obeying these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must take its course. Any members or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Moorish God, October 17, 1928. Islam? Islam. Islam?
Islam.
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 All praise is due to Allah, the highest of honors, to his holy divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. The reason why that reads slightly different is because that was, the wording of that particular divine warning was put together during the convention period, okay? The convention, annual convention of Moorish Science of America, October 15th through the 20th. first annual convention was October 15th to 20th, 1928. The wording of that was, put together by the grand body, but it had to be approved by the prophet. So the article was published, that they were putting out a divine warning, but the prophet kind of tweaked the language. The prophet was a Capricorn. January 8th makes him Capricorn. They're very big on, Capricorns are very big on finite boundaries and structure. Okay? Are you a Capricorn, brother?
No.
You must know one because you're over there cracking up. All right. But, so the prophet, he was also, you'll notice that a lot of Capricorns are attracted to the law. This particular Capricorn right here, Prophet Noble Riley, heard the language of it and was like, nah, I needed some tweaking. And the divine warning we usually read at the end of meetings was the final draft, right? This was the rough draft I just read, so it doesn't kind of flow the same, but the basic essence is the same, right? Key to that is if you hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet, turn in your card and button and cease wearing your turban or fez and return to the state where the prophet found you, right? And what was the state that the prophet Noble Riley found us at? What state were we in before 1913? Slavery, right? Believing in that, all the principles that delude to slavery, all right? So, if we're going to come into this movement, we have to make everything that the prophet Noble Riley stood for the centerpiece for all that we do. Islam, we have to look at him, as the one that, set up the foundation of salvation. That solid rock of salvation. Islam, that solid rock foundation. All right? But this is a beautiful movement, boys. I definitely want you all to come out January 7th. I'm going to have some history, like this wall, I'm going to turn this wall to a history of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So I'm going to put up all types of pictures from from back in the archives. You know what I'm saying? One of the key pictures that we found was Sister Maddie Tiggs-El. Sister Maddie Tiggs-El was, she was the Sheikess who, when the prophet, wanted to do the annual convention, back then, the Moorish Science Temple of America didn't have any seamstresses. So what the prophet was going to do, he was going to go around Chicago, and at that time, because of the European Shriners, there were a lot of Asiatic costume dealers, right? They sold all kinds of Moorish garments, for, different events the Shriners might want to throw or whatever. When the European Shriners found out the prophet Noble Riley was going to throw the first annual convention, the European Shriners went throughout Chicago and rented up all the costumes. Everywhere the Moors went, there were no costumes available. So the Moors kept coming back to the prophet, complaining. So Sister Maddie Tiggs-El, may Allah be pleased with her, volunteered, so dear Holy Prophet, if it'd be all right, I'd like to get a team together and we'll make the costumes for the Moors. Now keep in mind, there was thousands of Moors at that, at the convention, and particularly the parade, right? The parade which took place during the convention. So all the, the Moorish garments that you see the Prophet and all of them wearing was, was garments that was made, under the leadership of Sister Sheikess Maddie Tiggs-El. Islam? So you can't honor your forefathers if you don't know who they were. Islam Moors, all right? So we want to just give you a piece of your, your Moorish history back, just to show you that you're a part of something that's ancient in the modern terms, modern sense of the term, all right? And, and know that what we're doing right now is creating a history for future generations to look back on to see how this movement is supposed to be run. Just like we can look back at all these photos right here, right? These ones in that day and time were in the temple just like you are right now, right? Trying to figure out what they were going to leave for us, right? So, you have to ask yourselves, are you going to write history or are you just going to sit back and watch history happen? Right? I want to be of those that's writing the history. Islam, we want to write our history, years and generations in advance, right? We don't want to have to worry about what our children are going to do or what they're going to eat. I'm at the phase now, I'm a grandfather. So I got to look at my grandbabies, like what the world are they going to grow up in? Oh, by the way, I just want to drop this on y'all now. Y'all know they're working to make pedophilia legal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I came out of left field with that. Y'all know that, right?
Yeah.
Y'all okay with that?
No.
We sat back and watched, the homosexual thing go by, and what did we start saying? Oh, whatever people want to do, I ain't going to close them. Okay. And well, the transgender thing, oh, whatever people want to do, as long as it's them, as long as it's just Caitlyn Jenner, I ain't got to deal with it, it's okay. Okay? But what about pedophilia? When that becomes legal and they start looking at your babies? And it's no longer illegal for them to flirt with your babies. You can sit back and take that too.
No, I'm going to that shot to the head. Give me my bed.
Or you could build your own society and not have to do it. You could go to prison living out here. Because that's what's going to happen, right? That's what's going to happen. I'm with you.
That's
I'm with
the
you.
first reaction there.
See what you got.
I ain't there yet.
See, go to chapter 5. You got to pull that compass out.
I had to pull it out.
You got to circumscribe.
pull it out that day.
But see, you know, if you go to the chapter called Social Duties, the answer is given there. Right? When you build your own society, you don't have to put up with that stuff. Right? And you can keep certain people out. You know, there's a department that keeps certain groups out of communities. That department is called Planning and Zoning. Right? If you don't know anything about planning and zoning, go to City Hall. If you go downtown, go to the 3rd floor. You know, City of Atlanta. And just see what they do. Right? If you want to open a particular thing in a certain community, they have to see if what's the zone, what that community or that location is zoned for. Right?
Yeah.
And if they want you to, you know, if they want to allow you to be there, then there's a fee you got to pay. But if they don't want you there, well, you have to come in front of City Council. You have to talk in front of City Council and the citizens. And the citizens come out and they shut you down. They put you on blast. We don't want that in our community and blah, 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 blah. Especially if those citizens are part of organized body politics or societies. Right? So that's how you keep people out of your community in law. By planning and zoning. Islam? Right? So again, the Prophet gave us the program, but we need boots on the ground to fulfill it. Islam? Right? So right now you just, and I say this in closing, we have an Asiatic married now. It's close, right? You know, married no more, almost one, right? But Keisha Lance Bottoms one, praise Allah, right? But is she beholden to anything concerning the Moorish American Muslims? No. Why? Because we're not responsible for putting her in there. Islam? You know who she's beholden to? The LGBT community, the Deltas, because she's a Delta. Right? And that was key because they came out in droves and voted for their sorority system. Praise Allah, that's how you're supposed to run it. All right? But the point is, the Moorish American Muslims have a platform where we're supposed to be organized enough to have at least 1,000 people, which is nothing, right? 1,000 people that voted that way. And when she looked at that voting block, she could look back and say, you know what? I got to go see what they're all about because, you know, I mean, I almost lost. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. Islam?
Islam.
All right? So that's the work, you know. But you got to be taught that work. We all have to because none of us was raised knowing anything about what it was to be a citizen. Right? We was taught that was something that other folks did. And those same other folks have everything and we have nothing. Islam? All right. But I leave you as I came in peace. And I'm going to close in the tradition of our forefathers in prayer. Everyone please rise. Face the east, which is right ahead of you. Please, in the tradition of your Moorish forefathers, Moorish American forefathers, hold your feet at a 45-degree angle. Stand in your square. Your heels will be like this. Raise 5 fingers on your left, 2 fingers on your right. Invoking the sacred presence of the 7 Elohim that created everything that ever was, is, or evermore to be. Also known as the 7 stars of the right hand. Please repeat after me. Allah.
Allah.
The Father of the universe.
The Father of the universe.
The Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy prophet.
Drew Ali.
Drew Ali.
Ameen.
Ameen.
Islam, Moors.
Islam.
Praise Allah.